You're listening to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan, and today we're in this beautiful city of Warwick, Rhode Island. And we're going to have with us today is Mayor Scott Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what the city is all about and all the happenings here. But today's show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. Rick Kaplan on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan, and I have sitting right next to me is Mayor Scott Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island. Good afternoon, Mayor.
My pleasure.
So there's lots happening in Warwick.
Yeah, lately there's been a lot of activity, and we've had a number of very positive developments in the last two and a half weeks. Starting with a company out of Smithfield named CESA, S-E-S-A, announcing that they were leaving their location in Smithfield, coming here to Warwick and adding employees. They produce high-tech highway signs, the LED, the ones that tell you move left, merge left, all of that.
Oh, you're going over the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit?
They probably do those as well.
Okay. I see those quite frequently.
So they are moving here, followed very quickly by another announcement that the Warwick Mall is going to be redeveloped on one of their outer parcels to house the first Jared Jewelers in our region, in our area. Then we quickly followed that up with another announcement that CarMax is opening their first location in the region, not far from the Warwick Mall at the old Building 19 site. Then we had Coastway Community Bank move their corporate headquarters from another community in Rhode Island here to the city of Warwick and Metro Center Boulevard in City Center Warwick that I'm sure we'll talk about as we move forward. Right. And then quickly thereafter, the Rhode Island Mall announced that after 4 years of pretty much being dormant except for their 3 anchor stores, that they were they had relooked at the whole process and were announcing a factory outlet mall with 40 to 60 factory outlet stores that will be open in a little over a year from now.
So that's going to go through a remodel phase.
Absolutely.
So it looks like that everyone that's going to be driving, buying jewelry, and street signs is going to be living in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Well, and that's exactly what we've been looking for. And what was really nice, though, is that twice we had the companies talk about what brought them here. And CESA talked about the convergence of a train station, an airport, Route 95, Route 295, and the ability to reach everyone in Rhode Island and their target business audience very quickly. And then the developers of the factory outlet mall talked about Warwick being one of the hottest retail commodity areas right now, and that's exactly what we're trying to position ourselves as. So it was nice to hear what we've been saying to businesses now being repeated back to us.
Right. Well, it's also central, and the airport's not too far from
right.
here. So anyone that's coming into town has to go through Warwick.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why we created City Center Warwick, directly across from TF Green Airport, our 95 acres of prime real estate that we want to redevelop. We've already begun portions of that. Part of it was to take a contaminated brownfield site, the old Bayless Chemical Company, remediate the land and turn it into the Warwick station. So the train station, it's nice to be able to look at what used to be polluted and contaminated land now having a public purpose again. Directly across the street from the train station is the Hilton Garden Inn. Again, another brownfield site that was remediated. The building was taken down. The old Malleable Ironworks building was taken down, reconstructed with the bricks from the old building, and a brand new Hilton Garden Inn hotel, which had the highest occupancy of any hotel in Rhode Island over the weekends last month.
Now, it sounds you're going to bring a lot of jobs into Warwick as well.
We certainly hope so. That's our goal.
And surrounding towns.
Sure.
I'm sure they're also going to benefit from this. And I know that it's been an issue in Rhode Island. I hate to even bring it up, but I know it's been an issue. And are there any other towns in the area or cities following what you've been doing? You've been doing some incredible things here.
Well, we try not to be in competition with our partner cities and towns. In fact, we consistently look for businesses that aren't already operational here. When we made our pitch for Trader Joe's, we knew that they were looking to come into the market. We didn't want to just go and take a business from another community and move them here. So we did a very high and intense marketing campaign with Joel from Linear Properties to say, this is who we want. This is the type of business that is not serviced here right now, and that's who we want to bring in. The reason the CarMax is the same thing. Not your average Joe's that opened at the Warwick Mall recently, new to the market, a different brand, not just the same thing that everybody else has. When you look at CarMax coming here is new and different. You look at the factory outlets is a huge win for us because that is nowhere else in Rhode Island. So we're not just trying to go into another community and take a business and move them here. We've tried to really look at what is missing in the market and how can we go and fill that need.
Now, there's a big trend going on throughout New England. We go to a lot of the New England states with our show, and a lot of the areas work, play, and live, type communities that they're building.
Sure.
And it sounds like you're starting to follow the same suit.
Well, we have two. We have two different campaigns we run. We talk about Warwick being the best place to live, to work, and raise a family, which is basically what you've talked about. But we also talk about when you're going to fly out of TF Green. We have a park and fly and park stay and fly program because we want you to come here. It's competitive rates to Boston. I want you to come here, spend the night, fly out, leave your car at the hotel, go and then go on your trip, come back, stay in our hotel again, and then go home. And so we've tried to work on both markets of people who are coming here on a regular basis because they love the quality of life here, and then trying to make sure that we're staying in the market for people, the business traveler out of New England.
You're saying if you stay a little while and take a taste of Warwick, you want to stay here forever.
You want to come back, but also we know that for many people, coming and staying the night before they fly out is still cheaper than going to other airports in the region.
Well, I can see that because if you ever went to Logan Airport, you can see what it costs to not only to get there, but to park and to fly out of there most of the time.
Right. Absolutely.
But I think we're going to go to a quick break.
Okay.
But when we come back, we're going to finish talking with Mayor Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island. We'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. New England Real Estate Journal Radio.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Mayor Scott Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island, and we're talking a little bit about what's going on in the city of Warwick. And there's a lot going on in the city of Warwick. And it's all because of Mayor Avedisian.
Well, we have a great economic development team led by our Department of Tourism, Culture, and Development. We have great partners in the business community, the Central Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, and we work closely with the Rhode Island Commerce Commission. So we have a lot of good partners and very professional staff here in the city that work on behalf of economic development every day.
But as the leader of the community, I mean, you are the driving force in what a lot of this has.
Right, but
I mean, there's people that have,
right, but we have a lot of people who work very hard. So we try to take a team approach because I think it's very helpful to have more than one set of eyes that are looking at any project. So
right,
it's all good.
but you led the troops
right
in the right direction.
And it's great because look, it's paying off. I mean, when we look at 15 years ago, this whole city center Warwick was underutilized property that was either brownfields, had brownfield sites, or were contaminated and really not producing anything. Today, they're a train station, an award-winning Hilton Garden Inn hotel, a fantastic restaurant called the Ironworks Tavern that has incredible turnover each night in the amount of business that they do. And so when you think of property that was really fallow, that's now really thriving. And then you add to that Coastway Community Bank's corporate headquarters in that neighborhood. You add in Salve Regina University with their satellite location, the only one outside of Newport, here in Warwick, Rhode Island, at capacity, with full enrollment in their graduate programs, all in that district. Ocean State Theater Company coming here and bringing a component of the fine arts right here to the city center Warwick. Add to that the Steamship Historical Association of the United States, with collections over 100,000 artifacts for the old steamship era, of the Titanic to the ferry that takes you to Martha's Vineyard to the ferry that brings you to Block Island, and everything associated with that. All these incredible artifacts that tell the history of boat building, of shipbuilding, of our maritime culture that is so important. And this community has 39 miles of coastline, and so when we can
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We have 39 miles of coastline. When you can marry our nautical past to our present, it's really good. Now, the other important thing about the Steamship Historical Society is when you look at them coming here, they are in the old library building at New England Institute of Technology. The New England Institute of Technology a couple years ago bought a brand new building in East Greenwich and was moving their whole campus there. That would have been a real loss for us,
right?
Because they've been a great partner with us. They marketed all their property. They've been growing by leaps and bounds to the point where they are doing all the shipbuilding training for General Dynamics electric boat. And so what was going to be a building that they were going to sell is now filled with students again. So you have students in one building learning the technology to go to electric boat and build the force for our future,
right,
for the defense industry. But they're able to go next door and look at the past in the Steamship Historical Society. It's a great match for all of us.
Now, I'm obviously these are things that happen overnight, and
right.
You've been in office quite a while.
I've been the mayor now for 14 years.
So obviously you're doing something right, to keep getting into that office, and so you have plans for the future.
We have incredible plans out of this city. Right now, we have two major projects that have begun and that are going to pay dividends for our economic development for years to come. First, the Apponaug Bypass Project. 40 some odd years ago, the state created this circulator road that takes you around City Hall in one big circle. They were supposed to evaluate it 6 months after they did it. They never evaluated it. It's been in place for now more than 40 years. That is finally being fixed appropriately for this village. So we are going to create a series of roundabouts that will move the traffic out of the center of historic Apponaug to the outskirts, to Centerville Road and to Tollgate Road without coming into this village, which will allow us to reclaim the waterfront. City Hall is 2 blocks from the Cove. You wouldn't know if you went by it today. The Cove is pretty much decked over, and it's been infill. Lots of growth that has happened where we need to clean all that out and get rid of all the scrub growth that has come up. Really reclaim Apponaug and turn it back into a pedestrian-friendly walking village again. The second project is airport expansion. TF Green, we know, is one of the economic engines in this city. They are doing safety overruns on the Post Road and Airport Road ends of the airport. And on the Main Avenue site, there's going to be a brand new Main Avenue created that's going to be safer for our residents and be able to accept the volume of traffic that goes there each and every day. At the same time, we protected our neighborhoods. We have new ball fields being built for our children to utilize. And so both of those projects are going to pay dividends for years to come.
Now, with all the coastline that you have available, Are there developments besides the one you were just talking? Are there a lot of other developments going on?
Well, the biggest one when we deal with coastline, it was the acquisition of the former Rocky Point Amusement Park. The city now owns.
I hate to say I remember that,
but so do I. We acquired the first portion of Rocky Point, which is 41 acres of land and 1 full mile of coastline. The city bought that several years ago in conjunction with the federal government and the state DEM. We have built a walking path so you can enjoy 1 full mile of coastline and about 1.5 miles worth of walking when you go to Rocky Point. The state acquired the other 82 acres with the notion that we're going to build a Colt State Park on this side of the bay. So they are now cleaning up their property. It's open to the public. Our walking path is open to the public again now. It'll be closed again for a short period of time as we take down a couple other structures. And then later this year, Rocky Point will be reopened to people, and you're going to be able to walk along 122 acres of prime, beautiful waterfront land that's going to be preserved for generations to come.
So it's going to be opened as a park, not as a amusement.
No, it's going to be just a regular park with passive and active recreational uses, and it's a big win for us. It's going to be a big asset to the city and a big boost to our quality of life.
Now, are there any residential developments going up in the area?
Yeah, we obviously don't have a lot of land left, so most of it is redevelopment of older areas. You're going to see in City Center Warwick some residential development being announced very soon. That's going to add to our housing mix, which we desperately need more of a mix.
Well, that's what I like to talk about, that city center.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what that project's about.
Well, we have 95 acres from the train station out to, from the airport over to the train station and out to Route 5. And the goal of City Center Warwick is to create that downtown feel where we'll have a real transportation-oriented development, and so the whole goal is to take advantage of that train station. And since we know that the millennial group really want to work and live and be able to use mass transit and public transportation to take care of all their transportation needs, we have a very upperly mobile market looking at City Center Warwick as a place that they would live. So the plan calls for mixed use, residential, commercial, retail amenities, so restaurants and movie theaters and retail and residential, all across from the train station. So think about it. You want to live on the water. You work in Boston.
I think about that all the time.
Say if you live in Boston, or you work in Boston, and you want to live on the water, you can go look at Duxbury. You can go look at Hingham, and you're going to spend a lot of money to live on the water.
Exactly right.
You can live here in City Center Warwick, not far from the water, for a lot more house for your dollar. So, and the commute's about the same. So think about it. You can walk out your door, go across the street, get on an MBTA train, read your newspaper, have your coffee, and work all the way to North Station. Get out and go to work, and then get on the train, come back, get out.
And you get out of the city, you know.
Yeah, you walk across the street, and you're in the middle of City Center Warwick, where we're going to have restaurants and retail, everything that you want, for a lot less money.
So that's the live, work, and play.
Absolutely, and the whole goal is when you marry that to the fact that there's 39 miles of coastline, and most of it is free and has public access in this city. That's a pretty good fit.
I'm liking it.
We'll take you out and show you some homes that are up for sale.
So do you have a lot of new families moving into the area?
Well, again, our housing market has been pretty stabilized. So we are looking at City Center as adding the new housing units that will bring those younger people in. And we know from the demographics that we looked at, we know that millennials really want that. They don't want to be tied down to having a car. And very interesting when going through smart growth meetings in D.C., and with their group called Locus, and where they bring in smart growth developers to look at a project, had a group of young people say, okay, so your largest asset besides your home, and for most young people, they don't own a home yet, so they're saying their largest asset is their car. Right. That sits in their driveway most of the time that they're home. and sits in a parking lot at work or in a commuter lot somewhere most of the time that they're at work.
Right.
So their argument is...
And it depreciates.
Yeah, I don't want a car. I very easily, with zip cars and with everything else that's out there now, why do I want the expense of having a car that I have to, one, pay for parking if I live in a city, two, I have a maintenance, I have insurance, I have everything else. I could very easily get to where I need to be on public transportation without that expense and without all that grief. And when I do need a car to go somewhere, I can just rent one for the weekend.
Yeah, it's funny because on our ride down here to your office, we saw on 95, there was a car that went by that was a zip car.
Yep.
And we were saying the same thing. Why would someone that lives in the city, why would they buy a car?
Well, you wouldn't because you pay a lot for parking.
That's
so
right.
You sit there and say, okay, I'd rather take that parking money and use it for something else that I want to do. And that's what we're trying to create in City Center Warwick, that the train station is right across the street from where you're going to live. So you can pretty much go wherever you want from there. But when you need it, you'll have a zip car available.
Right, and the airport's not that far either. So if you are traveling
Well, technically, if you live in City Center Warwick, you can walk across to the train station right there on Jefferson Boulevard, take the moving sidewalk and the people mover all the way across and be inside the whole time. Once you leave your apartment, walk across the street, go into the train station, and you're basically in the airport.
So you don't even have to fight airport traffic.
No.
So if someone's a traveler, this is a better concept for someone to live in this area as opposed to living in Boston or...
Well, if you remember when Baltimore Washington International Airport really talked about being the alternative to flying into D.C.
Right.
And they said, we're going to create this incredibly easy link where you're going to take the plane into Baltimore and then you're going to get on the train and go right into Union Station. What they didn't explain is when you land in Baltimore, you go downstairs, you grab your bags, you go to the end of the counter, you go outside, you wait for a shuttle bus. The shuttle bus takes you 15 minutes over to the train station, you wait for the train, and boom. You fly into Warwick Station. So you fly into TF Green with the notion that you're taking the train somewhere.
Right.
You get off your plane, you walk down to get your bags, you go on the escalator up to the moving sidewalk, you walk directly across inside 5 segments of moving sidewalk into the train station, and you're right there. It takes you all of about 4.5 minutes, unless you have a lot of bags that you got to drag behind you.
No,
So 4.5 minutes,
though.
you're inside the whole time. So if it's raining or it's cold or whatever, you are fully protected and you're covered at all times. So the what used to be the easiest link in the world to go from plane to train just got a lot easier here at Warwick Station.
Now, that's also, so if they get on that train will also take them into Boston.
Right.
So they don't even have to fight the traffic for if they.
Exactly.
So if they're in Boston, it's easier probably to go to TF Green.
It is.
Than it is to go to Logan.
And it's going to be cheaper because you're going to get on the train and you're going to come right down. You can relax on the train. You don't have to pay for parking at Logan. And it's going to take you probably about the same amount of time than fighting all that traffic. So the goal really is for somebody who lives in Boston and wants to travel out of TF Green, you're going to, if you want to take your car to work that day, you're going to take your car to the Route 138 Sharon, Massachusetts park and ride.
Yeah.
Get on the train there, come straight down, get off the train, go up an escalator, go across 5 segments of moving sidewalk right into the airport, dump your bags, and get on your plane.
So that's ideal as a business traveler.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like much less of a hassle. And I've flown out of Logan quite frequently in many years, and it's always a hassle. Parking, getting into the airport.
And this becomes a very easy and viable alternative. And for somebody who is really cost conscious about travel, think about the fact that since the hotels at the airport here are much cheaper than they are in Boston, you're going to be able to save any which way that you want to make this work.
Now, are the same airlines flying out of TF Green? Do you have the same type of flights?
Yeah, we have very few that go directly cross country, so there's very few direct West Coast flights. But then again, there are very few direct West Coast flights anywhere anymore with this new spoke and hub. The way that they're trying to move people. But we have JetBlue here now. Southwest still has the largest market share out of anything going on at TF Green. I think they're up over 50% of all business. We have been negotiating with several international airlines to start bringing service here, and we expect that we'll be announcing some new airlines that are coming in.
Now let's get back to the city center area. A lot of businesses, retail and restaurants are probably moving into this area because obviously they want to be where all these people are coming in from the airport and people are wanting to live and shop. Do you have incentives? But what is so desirable for them besides the people coming in as a desirable factor?
Stable tax base. We don't have any tax treaties in this city. So there's no 10-year forbearance or anything like that. But what we offer is stability, and everyone's treated fairly. So the reason that people are coming here is because we have some of the most valuable real estate in the region at the moment. Jefferson Boulevard, 10 years ago, probably didn't have many takers for any open parcel of land. There was a time when the going market rate for an acre of property over there was $1 million in the last few years. So very, very positive. And it's driven by the fact that there is now this real easy link for people to be able to go from train to plane.
Right.
And you're not far from 95 and 295. So for a business looking at, okay, you've got UPS and FedEx right here to do all my shipping, this is a great place for me to be. And we haven't incentivized anything yet because everything has been moving along. However, what we will incentivize is we received federal money for infrastructure. So we will be spending $1 million on road changes to make it easier for businesses, make the whole development more attractive, putting in all the decorative lighting and the street trees and all of those types of things that will make it look better and feel better and be a place that people want to go.
Now, all of these things that you mentioned, these are things that it could be done almost in any city or town, but someone has to have the vision. Was it originally your team that had this vision?
I won't say it was my team because my predecessor had the vision when he was the mayor. He is now the governor.
Okay.
But both teams, we have a lot of the same people still on the team. And I served on the city council when he was the mayor. And we worked well then, and we still work well now. So the team has had different leadership and different members over the years, but pretty much the team has stayed intact. And the goal has always been to take what we have as assets. So we have an airport. We had one of the closest air-to-rail links in the country. How do you use that? And you use it by creating a train station and getting MBTA service in there. Now, we don't have Amtrak service yet, but we're working on that. And quite honestly,
I got a feeling you'll get it.
We're doing okay with MBTA service because what we're going to do is, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I also happen to be the chairman of the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority Board of Directors, and RIPTA is in charge of all buses. But we're also in charge of being the mobility manager for the state. So we are in negotiations right now with MBTA to have a two-car train, I guess, is the best way of describing it. It's probably going to really be one car, but it's going to look like two. Do nothing all day, but go from Wickford Junction in south of us to Warwick Station to Providence Station, and do this continuous loop between the three train stations in Rhode Island. So if you are in Providence Station and you want to go to Boston and the next train is leaving out of Wickford or Warwick Station, we're going to pick you up in Providence. We're going to move you to where the next train is going from. So you're not going to have to wait hours for a train. And the goal is, since we know that it's a very short ride between the three stations, the more that we will be mobile in moving people back and forth between those stations, the better off we're going to be. And what that does is it allows people to know that RIPTA, that your bus service is going to be on time when you're told it's going to be, but your train is going to be the same way. So you're not going to wait an hour for the next train to come along. We're going to move you to where you can get the next train, so you're going to be able to know that you're going to get to work or to your appointment on time.
Now, so is that going to be on a track?
Yes.
So that would be, so there's nothing that could stop it unless there was some kind of interference in
Correct. And the whole goal is, I don't want someone waiting for 2 hours in Wickford Junction, and I don't want them waiting for 2 hours in Providence Station. I want them to move to Warwick Station if that's where the next train's going from, or we'll take our people from Warwick Station and bring them to Wickford. However, we want to move people efficiently and effectively, because we know that time is money, and business people don't want to sit around in a train station or an airport waiting for their connection.
But you also can eliminate some of the traffic problems.
Absolutely.
Now, is that an issue? Has it been an issue in the past?
No, but it is part of the goal, because we know that being multimodal and intermodal is really what the future is going to be, and we want to capture the millennials to know that this city is serious about being environmentally friendly and using green technology and doing the things that should be done on a general course of action in a city anyway.
Well, and that brings up another question, is the green friendly.
Sure.
So what are some of the things that you're doing in the city that are making it energy efficient?
We have done energy efficient.
LEED approved.
Yep, we've done energy efficient projects in all of our city buildings. We lead the state in recycling. We were the first community in the state to do maximum recycling and to do automated trash pickup, which allowed us to have larger bins for recycling. So at the end of the week, you used to throw a couple straggling bottles and cans into the regular trash. You'll now throw it into the actual recycle bin, because the bins are so large that it's going to meet your capacity.
Right.
We have a full yard waste composting program, so that no yard waste goes to the landfill, and our goal is to have as very little go for solid waste to the landfill as out of anything that's being thrown away. Most of our buildings have undergone energy audits, and we have moved to make sure that they are energy efficient. We just had an energy challenge through National Grid. We needed to sign up a certain percentage of our residents that said that they would take part in finding 4 ways to save energy and cut costs at home. We exceeded the goal in the number of people who needed to sign up. So we have people paying attention to what we can do for energy efficiency. So we will be getting a cash award from National Grid that we intend to help others who are looking to be energy efficient.
Now, was that for residential and business? Or just residential?
It was residential customers that we could get to enroll.
Right.
We would not have said no to a business if they wanted to, but the focus was really on residential.
Right.
And it was pretty easy. It gives you like 20 different tips to pick your 4 ways on how you'll save energy at home. And we exceeded the goal of the number of people who signed up.
So, I mean, that's a pretty good system to put in place, because energy that's probably one of the hot topics right now, everything being green.
Right. And, we restored this building last year, and we made sure that any restoration was historically accurate, but using the greenest technology that was currently out there.
Now, so we covered the city center. We covered the coastline. Now, are there any other areas that you have visions or are in the process of changing?
Well, I think going back to Apponaug and the groundbreaking that just took place for this project that is going to fix the traffic here is really far-reaching, because you're taking one of the oldest villages in New England. You're looking at what its past was, what its present is, and trying to figure out the best use for its future. And believe it or not, the best use for the future is going to be returned to the past. So we're going to turn it back into a real old-fashioned New England village with seafront, but you're also going to have a brand new hotel that's being built. So you're going to have a boutique hotel built right on the water, 120 rooms, right on Apponaug Cove, taking advantage of the beautiful view that you're going to have from every single hotel room.
Great for tourism.
Incredible for tourism, but really good for the local economy too. We're going to have construction jobs and permanent jobs in that hotel, and it's going to take really underproducing property and turn it into really producing property for the future. We expect announcements on Jefferson Boulevard very soon to additional pieces of City Center Warwick that are going to be exciting new components. the Steamship Historical Society, Salve Regina University, Ocean State Theater. Those are things that would not have been coming here unless we were building this whole notion of changing the economy and changing the way that we do business and making people take a little bit of notice and a little bit of attention into what's going on here in the city of Warwick.
Now, I noticed just driving up into this area where the City Hall is there any plans for redoing this area?
That's what we're doing right now. The groundbreaking for the whole project is going to take all of Apponaug Village and turn it into a new series of roads. So
this is all part of that?
Yes. So the next time you come here, you'll be able to see the cove. You'll be able to drive without having to go in circles around the building.
And I did do that.
And you're going to see a whole new connection between the airport, which is only about a mile up the road, to Route 95, which is now just about a half mile in that direction, and linking one of our major retail corridors of the Warwick Mall, Rhode Island Mall, Factory Outlet Mall area, Route 5 into Apponaug, over to Tollgate Road and Centerville Road and up to 95. So you're changing the whole way that we're going to be able to move people. So just like the way that we're doing it differently at the airport and we're doing it differently at RIPTA, we'll be doing it differently here in Apponaug.
So you're touching almost each part of the city to make it very easy for transportation.
That's the goal. Now, we have some outliers. We have a part of the city that is not physically attached to the city. So you have to go through East Greenwich to come back into Warwick. Oh. That's a little more difficult. For Potawatomi and Bay Ridge, we're going to work on other projects there to improve that quality of life, but their transportation is probably going to pretty much stay the same.
Well, I'm sure they probably would want to work with you.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they benefit.
Yeah. And there's lots of good things going, a very positive outlook as to where we are. When we just went through a rating session with our bond council, it came back very positive about the stability here in the city and our economic outlook.
Oh, that's fantastic news.
All good.
Yeah. Now, we're sitting in your City Hall meeting room, I would call it.
This is our City Council chambers.
Chambers, yeah. I mean, this is it's a very nice room.
Well, it wasn't always that way.
No?
No. When I became mayor, and I had served on the City Council before, but this building had been renovated in the 70s, and there was orange carpeting on the floor.
Oh my God! Yeah, I hope it wasn't shag.
It was somewhat shaggy. They had put cloth on the walls because they thought it would deafen and kind of dampen the sound. That was all mildewed. And so we looked at what did this building originally look like. We found some old furniture that was built for this building and put it back here in the council chambers. We looked at the gallery, which had pretty much been closed because it was unsafe to have people up there. And we put money into the building to restore it to what it looked like. So what used to happen is you can see above us right now that there are a series of chandeliers. They were original to the building. When the light bulbs would die, you had to wait for all the light bulbs to die before you could change them. Because it cost so much to bring the bucket truck up to put it in the room, to have the bucket go up to actually pull the globes off and change all the bulbs. So when we were doing the building over, they're now on a winch system, so every chandelier comes down to the floor and we can change the bulbs whenever one of them is out.
Oh, good, because you need to change one.
Yes, and they have that on their list to do on Friday. Now, we also found that they had put curtains over all the windows. Well, when you put curtains over gold leaf, over time the gold leaf ends up on the curtain.
Oh, so that's wearing off.
So if you'll notice, the gold leaf looks as though it was just done. It's because we tinted the windows so that you don't have the issue of needing curtains on all the windows. So that's protecting it better. The stenciling at the top of the ceiling was all covered over and had been painted over, and they found it under 9 layers of paint over there on that side, the original stenciling. And there was an artist, a woman, who walked around in there was no pattern that she used. She walked around the whole building painting that by hand. And so we restored the building to make it look like it should. And if you look at the columns in the back, there's very ornate detail work on it.
Yes.
Well, over the years, people had tried to use it for pull-ups and had pulled pieces of that down. All that's been recreated in pretty indestructible ways. There was no center aisle here. This was created to look like the building should have looked like when it was originally created. So trying to look at our past, preserve that. Last year we did the outside of the building, 135 years old, 8 timbers that are 37 feet long each that were holding up the dome.
Wow.
Amazing. 135 years later, you would have thought a lot of rot. Not too much. When they took the tin off, we shored it up with steel in places where the building wasn't necessarily as secure as it should have been. And so now the building is airtight and ready to go for another 135 years. Right across the street, our Chamber of Commerce, the Central Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce building, going to do the same thing with a restoration campaign to turn that into what it looked like 100 years ago. So we have a lot of good historic preservation going on with all of the new development going on in Apponaug to really partner all of that together.
Well, one of the things, and I've been to quite a few chambers, they're very dark and gloomy. And you come into this one, it's so bright, and the floors are beautiful.
The floors were all done by our own employees.
Is that right?
The only thing that we had outside contractors do when we redid this chamber was the gold leaf, because we didn't have anyone who had expertise in that, the stenciling at the top of the ceiling, and the painting. And they fixed the anything broken on all the columns. The floors were put in by our own employees. The reconstruction and the wainscoting was all done by our own employees. And we turned it around to let our employees show us that they, one, have the technology and they have the expertise to do this. And talk about a shot in the arm. They kept coming up and saying, Mayor, years ago we would have gone out to bid and had some architect come in and tell us what should happen, and then they hire somebody and they'd come in and they don't understand our building and they've never been here before, and they'd do the work and they'd walk out the door, and we'd sit there and go, well, if someone had just asked us, we could have done it differently. We try to use our own employees to do anything like that we're doing like this. We also just had our Public Works Department take apart an entire old bridge down in Oakland Beach and rebuild the entire bridge from the roadbed all the way up. Now, it's the first time we had tried doing a bridge. It worked out really well. So we're trying to figure out ways that we use our in-house expertise to show the people of this city that, one, we're saving money and we're doing the right thing, but two, we're really showcasing our workers and their abilities that they have.
It gives a sense of pride.
Absolutely. They come in here, our workers come in here, and they look at this building and say, you know what, we did this.
And they should be proud, because this is very nice.
It has been a great turnaround from where this room used to be to what it looks like today.
And it's cool in here too, which is nice.
Well, the air conditioning.
I hope that wasn't the original air conditioning.
No, the air conditioning ducts are up here now. So we changed some of it in the restorations in order to make it really function. Obviously, air conditioning was added to this building much later, and it didn't necessarily function all that well. It was either really cold or it didn't work. So in doing this building and doing this room over, we made lots of changes to allow it to be more energy efficient and to actually work better.
So how much time is left to complete all these projects? Well, it sounds like you're on top of all of them.
We have a lot going on here in the city, and it's nice to be presiding over incredible changes. And when the next time you come here and you see the new road system out here, and you start thinking about this being a walkable city, and we've had walkability experts from Grow Smart America and from Grow Smart Rhode Island and Smart Growth America come here and tell us this is what we need to do, and this is how you need to make this village work. When we implement all of that, and you have a thriving pedestrian-friendly area, you're going to see how different Apponaug Village can be. And yet, you're only going to be a mile from our biggest and heaviest retail corridor. And so when you match all of those together and add in 39 miles of coastline, you have an incredible breadth of issues for people to take advantage of while they're here.
Well, I can see more and more people coming here as tourists.
Right.
And then seeing all the things that are happening here, and then end up coming to live.
I hope so, because we have beautiful neighborhoods. We don't have a downtown, We never have had a downtown. This city never wanted to be a city. We wanted to be a collection of small villages, and we still are. However, we are also creating that whole new attitude in city center Warwick of being a destination. And I think you'll see as we move forward that that's where the economic development engine is really going to be, directly across from the airport and train station, minutes from the retail corridor, but yet mixed in with historic preservation and brand new development that are harmonious and make things work and allow us to understand that our past is really, really important and worth preserving. Our present is the most important thing today. But when we look to our future, you've got a little bit of everything that's going to attract people here, keep them here, and remind them that Warwick is the best place to work, to live, and to raise a family.
But I think that was to your benefit that you don't have a downtown area. Because right now, a lot of cities and towns that have the downtown areas are struggling because everything is just so centralized.
Well, we never had a downtown based on the fact of the historical nature of this city. Is the town of West Warwick was originally part of Warwick. They were the wealthy Republican mill owners, and Warwick was the poor Democratic farmers. So when West Warwick split from us 100 years ago, they took the whole commercial corridor. And the people who took over Warwick at that point did not want to make the same mistakes that they had already gone through, so they really were shunning a whole commercial corridor. So our commercial corridor built up over time, bit by bit in each neighborhood, so that you had your local market and your local butcher and everything was localized.
Right.
As Route 2 developed and Jefferson Boulevard developed, you had a little bit of a feel of a city, but you still went home to your neighborhood and your village. So that feel is still there today, and it's one of the things that people like about why they want to live here, because we haven't just brushed over and painted over the whole past here. We embrace that along with our future and with our present, and that's a good mix of stuff for people to enjoy.
Right, so it's almost like the city life in a small town.
Correct. Yeah, and that's exactly what it comes down to, is that people have a very good quality of life and a very good sense of place and sense of time here in this city.
Now, that brings up just something I thought. Is that easier to maintain as far as security-wise, with your police force?
Well, we were named the 16th safest community in the nation. So when you have an incredibly competent and serious police department, it allows you to be able to go work on quality of life issues because you know that they're always there doing their job. And our crime rate is very low. As I said, we were named the 16th safest community in the nation. We were named one of the best cities to do business in, and one of the best, twice named, and one of the best 100 cities to live in the country. So all of that combines itself to really lend it to people are here because of quality of life. And the quality of life issues are most important to them. And so in virtually every neighborhood, you're only a couple minutes from being able to walk to the water and enjoy a beautiful sunrise or sunset in a quiet, stable community.
Right, I can see that.
Yep.
So what are there any downfalls to Warwick?
Well, obviously,
I can't find any now.
Like any community, we have traffic issues and congestion issues, and we have airport noise, and we have, so we have all the same things that every other community has. Ours just tend to be a little bit smaller and a little less severe. And I think the other thing is we're fortunate that we have 83,000 people who live here who still embody a small town America. So although we're the second largest city in the state, you would have most people tell you that they still live in a fairly rural community.
Well, I appreciate you talking with us today.
My pleasure.
We're talking with Mayor Scott Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island. And if you haven't come down to Warwick, Rhode Island, it's a incredible place to work, live, and play. And I'm sure if someone is interested in even developing down here, give the mayor a call.
Yep. Have them call us at 738-2000 or go on our website at warwickri.org.
Now, are there many opportunities for development?
Yes, we have all of City Center Warwick that we're marketing with a whole bunch of property owners and trying to make sure that we find the right fits for all of our neighborhoods. So we'd be happy to hear from anyone who has any interest.
That's great, because we do have a lot of developers that listen to the show.
Good.
And I want to thank you again.
No, my pleasure.
And I do. I really enjoyed our time down here in the short period of time. But I am going to come back.
Good.
And I want to see all the changes because it sounds like this is going to be an incredible place.
It's going to be very exciting.
And I love the ocean. So.
Yeah, perfect.
And I'll get down to the city center as well.
Great.
And I also want to mention that the mayor and the city of Warwick, Rhode Island, and the city center are platinum sponsors for our network and New England Real Estate Journal networking event as well. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
New England's commercial real estate scene is covered right here on the Money Matters Radio Network with Rick Kaplan.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan, and we were speaking with Mayor Scott Avedisian of Warwick, Rhode Island, and he had a lot of interesting things to talk about in the city. I mean, it sounds like an unbelievable place to live. So if you ever have a chance, get down to Warwick. I would take that the tour of the city. And today's show is brought to you by Warwick, Rhode Island, one of the fastest growing business communities in the Northeast, home to T.F. Green Airport, the Rhode Island Interlink rail station with direct access to Boston, and newly designated city center Warwick. With convenient access to commuter rail, plane, bus, rental cars, and interstates 95 and 295, City Center offers some of the most unique business and residential opportunities in the region. City Center Warwick, 95 acres, centrally located, prime for development. So if you're a developer, you want to get down to Warwick. For more information, go to citycenterwarwick.com. And I think this deal is done.